Welcome Wargamers as we continue our dive into the Sylvaneth. And there is a question that crops up as I talk about this army that's been addressed a few times, mostly in the Alarielle video I put out many moons ago. And the question goes like this. What is the contrast and comparison between Alarielle and Nurgle? And that's what we're going to explore today. Before beginning that, I want to say a big thank you to my patrons over on Patreon for all of their support and encouragement as I try out this new way of doing Lore Weeks. Now let's dive into the question. The Sylvaneth Battle Tome and the core rulebook paint Alarielle as a goddess of life magic. In fact, her realm, Giran, literally means life. But the Maggotkin book also paints Nurgle in a similar light. As things decay, microbial life flourishes. And if that's all we knew about them, there's obvious confusion. Shouldn't Alarielle represent all life, even microbes? Isn't Nurgle creating more life with every kill? And that's the start of the discussion today. How we're going to do this is we're going to look at each god individually, bring them together, and then compare them. The more we understand them separately, the more we'll see the differences. So ladies first, let's talk about Alarielle. Straight up, Alarielle is an extension of life magic. Sigmar is described as being part of Azir and Azir is part of him. Same thing with Nagash. He is death and death is Nagash. They embody each other and the realms they're in, and Alarielle is the same way. The magic of life is about more than just being alive. It's about healing, nurturing, the momentum to grow, expand, and to flourish. And it's important that we tie that magic to Alarielle because it's representative of her. And again, it's important to make that distinction that Alarielle is tied to the realm of life, because in contrast, Nurgle is not, and we'll talk about him in a second. When we see the magic of life interacted with, it's more than just the creation of life happening, it's life magnified. And that's the key phrase I want to keep in mind here. It's life magnified. Things that are sick become strong. Injuries heal. Women become pregnant. That's actually a thing that can happen if you move too far towards the end of the realm. The point is that it's life in abundance. In addition to that, an important note that we're going to touch on is the fact that Alarielle operates in seasons. It's natural life order. Birth, life, age, death, rebirth. Her magics bring the world the most abundant points in those seasons. Like we said, healing, restoration, those kinds of things. Whatever can make you, in your natural cycle of life, the best version of yourself, that's what life magic does. And so the key things as we move away from Alarielle, we're going to keep in mind, again, the natural order, life maximized, and this idea of healing and restoration and nurturing. So now we're going to move over to Nurgle. Now here's the thing up front. It is totally fair to say that Nurgle is a god of life, because his followers sure think so, and it's simply a matter of perspective on behalf of the follower. However, I wager that if most of us saw the things that Nurgle creates, we would not scream life from what he does. It's pretty horrific. When Nurgle says that he makes life from decay, he kind of does a few things here. He lowers the meaning of the original object, meaning, let's say he kills a person and from that dead body, a bajillion microbes come into existence. He lowers the meaning of that original person and elevates the value of the microbial life. It's just a numbers game. If you break something down into many, many pieces, they still have value individually to Nurgle. And it's true that ending one life to make millions is good math. If you just want to create more life, math is on your side. But that is only true if you count those millions as equally valuable to the original one that you killed. If you hold the microbe in the same esteem and value as the human, and you can make more by killing that one human, it makes perfect sense. In this way, we can say that Nurgle is life minimized. More smaller things rather than one big thing. Because if there's no difference in value, why wouldn't you have more? So again, our point here, life minimized. We break things down to their smallest denominator. But there's something else special about Nurgle that makes him unique. He doesn't get his power from a realm or a wind of magic, however you want to word that. As a chaos god, they represent so much more than a single form of power. They also represent ideas. And Nurgle isn't just the god of pestilence, but the god of despair as well. As people fear death and entropy and disease, it feeds Nurgle. His power partially relies on ending things in their prime. It's the breaking of the natural cycle of death and life. And while all things do eventually die, Nurgle's rot disrupts that natural order of rebirth and kills things too soon. So let's compare the two really quickly. Alarielle is life magnified. She strengthens, heals, nurtures, and enriches. Living things have value just as they are, but she makes them their best self. You and a plant are both living things and you both have value, but the value is different because what life abundantly looks like is different for both of you. And she perceives this value and empowers everything while still maintaining the natural cycles of life. It's harmonious, it's peaceful, and serene, just like the power of the realm that she's tied to. Nurgle, on the other hand, is life minimized. He infects, destroys, breaks down organisms so that smaller things may flourish. This breaks the cycle of life, tears things down in their prime, prevents the natural recycle and rebirth of all things. It's destructive, it's chaotic, not the peaceful and serene thing. And his powers don't just come from making things decay, or by making new life, but by the fear of mortality that instills in people. He seeks to create the highest quantity of life, and in doing so it equalizes the value of all living things. Which is great if you're a microbe, really bad and dangerous if you're anything else. So in conclusion, to kind of address these questions, while both are in the business of creating life, they have vastly different viewpoints on the value of life makes it interesting. I can't tell you which one is the god of life. Like most things, it's kind of a gray area based on perspective. Do you think all living things have the exact same value? From the amoeba to the ant to the human to the giant dragons, right? Do all these things have the exact same value? Well, if true, then Nurgle is your man. Do you see the value of all things, but still see differences, that there is a difference between the amoeba, the ant, the person, and the dragon, but that you want them all to be their best selves? Well, that's where Alarielle comes in. To give kind of a firm answer, because I hate when people do videos and don't really give a good stance, I'm going to say Alarielle is the true god of life. If for nothing else, her realm is literally made of the magic that we call life. In addition to that, we don't see Nurgle actually creating much life on his own. He rots and infects and encourages and nourishes life for disease and pestilence and plague, but as far as like ex nihilo, from nothing creating of life, he doesn't do that much in the stories. Whereas Alarielle, when she runs in the direction, flora literally just bursts into existence around her. One of my favorite scenes containing Alarielle in it is where it's in the Rumgate Wars, where she's charging a fortress, and as she's charging it, Sylvaneth are just bursting out of the ground around her as they're coming into existence, where it's rotted and the earth is nasty. A forest kind of blows up behind her, so you see her running dead straight for the fortress, but she's also creating a perfectly straight line forest behind her in her wake, kind of like the wake of a wave. Trees and bushes and shrubs all sprouting out of the ground behind her. That is making life. So in the end, I say Alarielle is the true god of life, with Nurgle being a step right behind her, depending on your perspective. But as with anything, this is the start of a conversation, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the debate. I know I have a lot of Nurgle player listeners who enjoy this kind of discussion, so tell me your thoughts. Which one is the true god of life? And if you think of any more ways to kind of compare and contrast them, go ahead and add them. Again, mine were, they have different viewpoints on the cycle of life. Alarielle upholds it, Nurgle breaks it down. Alarielle is life maximized, empowering things. Nurgle is breaking them down and minimizing those. And also the different ideas of value. Alarielle sees different values for things, but wants them all to be their best. And Nurgle sees all things as having equal value and wanting the highest quantity. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in my next Sylvaneth video. Thank you so much for watching, and happy wargaming.